Good morning, Bellingham. Welcome to our municipal COVID update. Today is Monday, January 22nd. As you can see, we have a very different look and feel with these updates. We are going to be doing them through utilizing a Zoom call completely instead of a few of us being in the studio. So we'll follow the same agenda that we always do with giving you the updates that we feel you need to know. And of course, for those of you who have been sending in questions, we have those answers prepared for you today. So let's start out without further ado with our public health nurse, Esther Martone. Good morning, Esther.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. I hope everyone had a nice weekend. So as of this morning, we have had 10,884 residents tested with a total of 1,217 confirmed and probable cases. Currently, we have 35 active confirmed cases and 9 active probable cases. To date, we have had 1,159 recovered cases, which gives us about 95% recovery rate, and we have had the 14 deaths as well. And Bruce is not with us today, so I'm going to give you some state numbers. So the last report from the state, it was as of February 20th, there were a total of 1,316 new confirmed cases reported, bringing the state's total to 539,644. They did have a statewide rate of 30 new cases per 100,000 Massachusetts residents. And there are currently an estimated 35,874 active cases. In regards to the deaths, it froze on me, so I don't have that. Oh, nope, there it is. 46 new confirmed deaths, giving the state a total of 15,508. And that looks to be like all of the state's newest information as of the 20th.
So I know that we have, thankfully, with everybody's due diligence, have entered into the yellow zone. Do you want to elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, so the positivity rate has come down. For the town of Bellingham, we're right around 4% for a positivity rate. Seeing the numbers over the weekend, we did only have about 10 new cases over the weekend. So as long as we don't get any lapses in data or an influx of new positive results, we should trend that same way, maybe even a little better. So I'm keeping my eyes on that, and as we get more information, I'll be certain to release that as well.
Great news for Bellingham, right? You'd also mentioned you wanted to talk a little bit about the side effects for the second shot.
Yeah, so I know a lot of our residents are getting ready to have their second dose of the vaccine. It is more common for people to have side effects and adverse reactions with that second dose. One resident actually reported to me that they did experience some paralysis from it, which is the first case of the paralysis that I've heard. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. If you're at a high risk and normally you have reactions to vaccines, I would highly recommend that you that if you're able to stay with someone, if you live alone, or at least have someone with you for a few hours after you've had that second dose of the vaccine, just in case you do experience any of that severe paralysis. The most common side effects that people are experiencing are a fever, increased soreness in the arm in which you receive the vaccine, and extreme fatigue. This is the most severe. I've only heard of the one case, but I did want to make people aware of it just because it is a possibility.
Great, thank you. Dennis, did you have a question?
I did have a question for Esther. A lot of questions regarding people traveling, especially this time of year. Individuals traveling abroad. I know we have quite a few in Florida looking to come back, schools and within our offices. What's the quarantine requirements, and does it change if they've been vaccinated?
Yeah, so the state has not changed their travel advisory at this time. So if you are fully vaccinated, you are still expected to quarantine or produce that negative test result within 72 hours of return to Massachusetts. I know the CDC had updated their guidance, but the state has not changed any of that guidance. The only change that the state made was in regards to whether or not you are a close contact of a confirmed case. So if you are a fully vaccinated individual 2 weeks from your second dose, so between 2 weeks of the second dose and 3 months total, you are exempt from having to quarantine when you're identified as a close contact. So that's the only change that the state has made thus far.
Great. So people can go right up to that rapid site up in Marlborough still? I know there's been a lot of success going there.
Yeah, to my knowledge, the Stop the Spread sites are still available. You definitely want to check with the website for the most updated in regards to hours and availability. To my knowledge, they're still working really well. People are also having good luck with the CVS and the Walgreens testing that's been done. You can now get a rapid PCR test. So that is basically about just as effective, or just as accurate as the long PCR test. So if the rapid PCR test is available, you can certainly have that as well.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great info. Thank you, Esther. All right, next we're going to turn it over to Deputy Chief Milo. Good morning.
Good morning. So as far as the vaccines go, I know Bruce isn't on. They're a little short on vaccines. So what they've done now is suspended any deliveries of vaccines to small clinics like we were planning on opening. They haven't denied us. They just, right at this point, there's no vaccines available. They're going to the mass sites. So they did say once more are available, there is a potential for us to get them and set up our own vaccine site. But for right now, all of that is on hold. As far as anything with the fire department, we have released allowed burning, open burning, which started today. People can go on to the fire department website, go to the link for open burning, and each day they will have to fill out a permit form, the days that they want to burn, and that will come to us. So there's no charge for that, and they can do that. So the chief has opened that up at this point.
Excellent. Great. Thank you very much, Chris. All right, let's switch it over to Peter Morano, our superintendent. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on today. Just a couple of quick updates. This week, we're starting our new 3-2-3 model. So on Wednesdays, half days, kids will be in person, depending on the cohort. So we start this week with cohort B. I'm excited about this opportunity. I know I got some feedback from families that it creates a little bit of hardship in regards to daycare. And we're going to try to work those issues out, but it gives kids more in-person time, which I think is critical for our students. So the more in-person in front of their teacher time we can create, the better. I've said this, I don't know how many times, and I know people are probably sick of hearing it, but the more, there's no substitution for in-person learning. This hybrid model has worked well for us, but we need to start transitioning to more in-person. I'm going to be conducting a webinar this Wednesday for families at 6 p.m. I sent the notice out over break. And again, to talk about our 3-2-3 model, we got an update on transportation. And then we're hoping that we can start transitioning to shrinking our distancing from 6 feet to 3 feet sometime in April. Again, part of that, the key to that is some vaccination for our staff. So we'll keep chugging along and doing everything we can to move forward and hopefully get our kids back in for at least the last part of the school year.
Excellent. Great to hear it, Peter. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next on our agenda, we have our director of the Senior Center, Ms. Josie Dutil. Good morning, Josie.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. So we continue to try helping seniors in Bellingham sign up for vaccines. When the governor opened up the window of opportunity to 65 and older, it kind of, as everybody knows, crashed the site. So we have a list of seniors that we are trying to get appointments for. So if you're struggling getting an appointment, you can get on that list. There's no telling as to when we'll be able to get you that appointment, but we're, it's part of our daily tasks right now. Lunches are back. We're going to be doing our lunch program again starting in March. Devlin's Pub has put together a menu for the month of March, and we're going to begin taking orders this week for the lunches next week, which will be on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday is going to be chicken parm with penne and garlic bread. Wednesday, shepherd's pie with side salad and a roll, and Friday is fish and chips. We like to stick with fish and chips on Fridays, or some sort of fish menu on Friday. On March 1st, we've made the decision that we're going to begin offering some limited indoor programming. So people who want to participate will need to call the center and book their spot in each class or activity, as each one will have limited access or limited capacity. You can call 1 week prior to the class. So if you have a class next Wednesday that you want to come and take, you can call this coming Wednesday and book your spot. And we're looking forward to people coming in and seeing the space. We've had tax work-off folks in there repainting the dining room, the kitchen, the main lobby area, the exercise room, the bathrooms. So it's really freshened up, and we're looking forward to having some folks in there. We're very grateful to the Bellingham Honor Society students for having put together a crew of volunteers to shovel out our seniors this winter. It's a winter where we've had more snow than usual for sure. And I know the seniors that became recipients of that service are very happy with how it's been going, and really grateful. So thank you. And Mike Soder is planning a drive-by Easter event, a meal in town, and has asked us to take the signups for the event. So if you want to do a drive-by pickup Easter meal on Sunday, March 28th from 1 to 2 p.m. Pickup will be at the middle school in town. He's asked that we take the sign up, so you can call the senior centers and book your meal. We'll take your sign ups. It's a free meal. I believe PJ's is making it this year. And if you are watching this and are interested in volunteering for the event, he's asked that we coordinate some volunteer efforts around it as well. So call the senior center to offer your services as a volunteer. But if you're a senior, please come as a guest instead. And yeah, that's all I've got.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Josie. Appreciate it. Dennis, over to you.
Thanks, Cindy. I know Chris touched on it, the deputy chief touched on it earlier with regard to the vaccination clinics here in Bellingham. And we had hoped to do that. We're getting a lot of traffic calls about when are we going to be able to give vaccinations here in Bellingham. And the problem is the state keeps trying to create more efficient ways to get the shots out. I think they're well-intentioned what they're doing. Early on, they were suggesting that these local flu vaccination opportunities would exist. We put a plan together, we submitted it, it was approved. And unfortunately now the state's taken a much more regionalized approach, as the deputy chief had said. We haven't given up. We're still looking at joining with other communities and getting something that's local. I know trying to do something in Franklin that maybe touches 8 or 9 surrounding towns, something in Uxbridge the same way. I know Representative Soder's been working on that as well. So it would be great if we could do that. And then we're transporting seniors to the next town over as opposed to Gillette Stadium. I know Gillette Stadium, I've heard nothing but good about how it's working there as far as getting people out of the cold inside the building, but it's inconvenient to drive over there, obviously. If we could get a local distribution established, it'd be great. So we haven't given up. We're still working on it, and there are a lot of people that still need to get vaccinated. What I wanted to do was I have our town clerk with me in my office, and he wanted to give an update on the upcoming elections. So I'm going to turn my screen over to Larry Spizzato, our town clerk.
Thank you, Dennis, and good morning, everyone. I just had a couple of reminders that, first of all, the election is coming up on May 4th. We've already begun to issue nomination papers for the various offices that are up for election. If anyone is interested, you need to come into the office and let us know that you're interested in a particular position, and we can prepare those papers for you and get you going. They need to be back by March 16th. So that would be the last day that papers could be pulled, and also that's the day that they need to be brought back in. If anybody has any questions, there's the offices that are up for election are on the website. You can call our office and find out. It's also in the Bellingham Bulletin. The second thing is that the yearly census we've been getting a good response. We still have quite a good number of people that have not responded. If you could please get those back to us, that would be wonderful. And also we've had some questions as to our ability to prevent somebody from voting based on the fact that they have not returned their census. So I just wanted to go over that quickly for a second. That is true that it is Mass General Law. It's not our law in terms of the town clerks, but we need to enforce that law, obviously. So there is quite a procedure for that. It doesn't happen just quickly. You would get notification and you have opportunity to let us know that that's not the case. And people unfortunately are looking at it as a punitive measure, and that's not really what it's supposed to be. When people leave Bellingham, they don't always let us know that they're leaving. And unless they go to an area that is going to be reciprocal to us and have us remove them from the voter rolls, we don't know that they've moved. The census is a tool that we use to understand who's here and who's not here. So if in fact the census doesn't come back either, we don't know that a person has moved. So it's really a way of keeping the voter roll up to date and clean. It's not meant to be punitive. It's a way to keep the voter roll essentially to be a true picture of who's in town and who's eligible to vote in Bellingham. The last thing is the dog licenses. We've received a lot of calls because people are very anxious about their dog licenses. And this year we had a couple of issues with dog licenses. Number one is that there was somewhat of a delay in getting the actual physical tags to us because the factory that produces those tags was on a skeleton crew due to COVID. They had people sort of, doing abbreviated days and so on and so forth. So they were a little bit behind, but primarily the reason is because we're implementing a new system, which is something that we've been planning for a while. It kind of got put on hold because of the pandemic last year. And this year, I'd really like to get it going. We have had a couple of false starts because as with any software upgrade or implementation, there's always some unforeseen issues that come up that have to be corrected. We think that that's all done now, and we're going to be working diligently to get those dog licenses out. However, we are going to do them in the order in which they came in. So, because I think that's the fairest way to do it. So if people come in, we're not going to stop everything that we're doing to process their dog license. We're going to do them in the order in which they came in through the mail or through the Dropbox. And also, if checks are here, we understand that, you have they're outstanding in your checkbook, so to speak, in your register. But generally speaking, it's a $15 charge. So you just have to kind of remember that that $15 has to be deducted until we can get that to you, because we do not cash checks until the license is actually processed. So they will be getting cash now as we begin to process them in much larger numbers now. And the last thing is regarding the dog licenses and understand that those of you that may not know me, I am a huge animal lover. In particular, dogs are my passion. I am on the board of directors for a dog rescue group, so I understand how people feel about their dogs. However, every dog cannot be number one in Bellingham in terms of their license, because we have over 2,000 dogs that we process every year. So people look for a certain number. We cannot guarantee them that number. We have to do it at random. There's no way that we can, even with the constraints of the system, go ahead and process ahead of time or process, hold some back and then process sort of retroactively. So unfortunately, although we all think our dogs are number one, I have 3. They can't all be number one. So, to me, they all are. But you're not necessarily going to get guaranteed a low number, even if you have in the past. So I'm asking for everyone's patience and for everyone's understanding in getting this new system implemented. When it's finally fully implemented, it will give us a lot more flexibility and a lot more advantages in terms of how we process and sending reminders and so on and so forth. So it will all be worth it in the end. And the last thing we're going to say is that the 2020 license that you have is good until March 31st. So you're not out of compliance, and also there will be no late fees charged on anyone that has already sent in their license. In other words, no late fees charged based on our inability to get it back to you in a timely manner. So there's nothing to worry about. Your dogs are safe, and animal control is right with us. They know what we're doing. So I just want everybody to rest assured that we're going to get them out as quickly as possible and to try not to get too worried about it. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Larry. Dennis, anything more from your corner?
Nothing more from my corner other than municipal centers fully open and operational. Again, we ask people to utilize the drop-off surface in front of the building and also do as much as they can online. But we are open if anyone wants to come in. I think the snow is over for the year. It's melting this week, and we'll all be out tending to our gardens in a week or two. So here's hoping anyway.
Or maybe playing golf. You never know, right?
Never know.
Great. All right. Thank you, everybody. And as I mentioned in the beginning of this broadcast, we are switching over to fully using the Zoom platform. So if you have any questions that you'd like for us to answer, just go onto our website. There's a link you can click on there, and that'll basically generate an email that goes directly to Dennis, and we'll make sure that we get your questions answered. Other than that, I hope you all remain safe and have a wonderful week. We'll see you next Monday. Take care.